Good evening, Fantasy Goats. How are you? We are back. What feels like it was a whole week off, a long weekend. I hope that you guys had an enjoyable long holiday week. And I am your shepherd. And today we are going to get into what we think is an important one. This is the fantasy football mid-round values. The best players to target in your upcoming drafts. Rhino, I'm still young enough, I believe is the term, where they used to call this sleepers.
Yep. Yep.
These are sleepers nowadays, fellas. I mean, there's no such thing as a sleeper anymore with all the information that's out there, which is a great thing, by the way. It's not like it's not like we don't want information. Too much information or disseminating the information can be tricky to navigate. And I'm sure Rhino would love to talk to you guys more about that at a later time. That's right. Nice teaser. So we are going to get into the mid-round values, players that we think can definitely outperform where they're currently going in drafts. And drafts are underway, mostly best ball, but there's some redrafts that have kicked off, and I'm a victim of one. We're all victims of them.
Yep.
Not everyone's a psychopath like us, but that's okay. we do the work for you guys. Let me say hello to these goats. We've got the mid-round Mike. Snake Draft Sam is watching the game. So
yes, sir. Yeah, I've got my intention up there and here, up there. This is a great series. This is definitely going to be a series for the books. These games are exciting as hell. But I'm worried about my mid-round fantasy picks, my 6th, 7th, 8th rounders that end up being in my starting lineup for a long stretch of time. Those are the guys that are going to give you a slight edge.
I'm so glad you just said that. I'm so glad. Because I figured it would be a good idea to define what mid-round is. Everyone's mid-round is going to be every fantasy draft is different based on how many rounds you're actually in. So it'd be a good idea to probably just nothing too critical, right? Just to define mid-round. We'll get into that. Rhino, how the hell are you?
Doing good. Nice to get back to work today. Nice weather.
You are at work. This is work.
Yeah. Well, this is pleasurable.
This is
Not seeing other job as pleasurable. It is, but I have more fun doing this and talking to my boys here.
I mean, you said you have work.
It doesn't get any more fun than fantasy.
No. In mid-round,
it really doesn't.
This is where you win. This is where you win leagues is mid-round.
Yep.
This is where you win leagues. This is certainly the area of your draft, or players that are in this area of your draft is certainly going to increase your odds. Let me just say that it's going to increase your odds. Of course, you're going to have to hit on a couple of other people's, a couple of other rounds, working your drafts, working your trades, your waivers, so on and so forth. But yes, absolutely. This is where you could absolutely win your league this round of 2024. JX, how are you? JX Fantasy, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and goats.
Hey, yo, boys. Happy to be here. Like I said, once again, blessed to be here. Yeah, man. I love to talk about football. I love to talk about fantasy football. And I hope everybody has their listening ears on, because JX is going to give you your winner. So make sure you're tuned in today.
Laying down the gauntlet already. I like it.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Just make sure you're paying attention.
Just shut up and listen and take notes the rest of the night then.
Exactly. Your notepad's ready? It's your number 2 pencil sharp. All right.
Talk about shooting from full court, calling your shot in May.
I see no reason why I need to be here. Just listen to JX, and I'm just gonna shut my mouth. Yeah. So the mid rounds. I mean, in a ballpark, in like a broad spectrum of mid rounds, I would say, my opinion. There's no exact science. I would say that the mid round would start around, I'd say 5.
Yeah.
I'd say round 5 through 9 to 10.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I'd say
that's the sweet spot.
I'd say that's basically it. So like if we're gonna stop at round 9, therefore round 10, 11, 12, 13, round 14, or round 15, those are your late round picks.
Those are more dart throws.
Yeah.
The deep
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah,
Easy.
your dark sleepers, yeah. And of
Mhm.
course, obviously, we know we're round 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are your early round picks. Okay, so yeah, I'd say that we're all in agreement that the mid round,
Ooh, I got it.
5.
Those later rounds, like those double rounds, like rounds like 12 through 16, those are called the darkness retreat rounds. That's what I'm gonna call them.
Some of these dudes are gonna need a darkness retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, you know they're on their last retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got that part out of the way. How about value? Now this could be a little bit more. I don't know. This could be a little bit more open for interpretation. To me, value is like a player that is going to outperform
Mm-hmm. His ADP.
where they are currently going
Right.
on average. Hence
Mhm.
ADP, average draft pick.
Yep.
And obviously, the average is set by mainly these sites that we play on.
Mm-hmm.
More or less,
Yeah.
that's how the ADPs are set.
Mhm.
It's their systems that are giving us, a roundabout as to where.
And some of them, some places like Underdog, they take like the collective data from people who are, more psychotic than us and have already started a bunch of drafts. So
Yes,
then they take some of those numbers and then they bake it into some of the ADPs too.
yeah, without question.
Mhm.
Without question, I would say again without knowing this for fact, but it doesn't really make a difference because when it's all said and done, we have to arrive at the same place when we're on the
Yeah.
clock. However, again, I actually think that it's the sites like Underdog, like Drafters that are probably the ones that are not manipulating, but are kind of setting that. They're setting that ADP up for those that are drafting on the Yahoos and the Sleepers and the ESPNs. All right, enough of that. Enough of the tutorials. Who would like to begin?
I'll go first.
You please go first. Give
My
us.
first one that
Yeah, give us
my
your
first
first,
one
second.
is it's a shame, it's a crime where he's being drafted at, and that's Devontae Smith.
Hmm.
And I can kind of understand why he has 63 or 68 receptions, 833 yards, and 8 touchdowns, 12.3 average. But that's a crime.
What's his ADP?
I've been getting him in the 5th and 6th round.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah.
What do you know what number wide receiver he's being drafted at that ADP? Like is he like wide receiver 7, 8? Okay.
No.
I can I got that. I can get you.
Yeah.
Devontae Smith is currently ranked 24th for wide receivers.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 24?
With an ADP of wide receiver 24.
I understand why he's being drafted that low though, because people are thinking
Yeah.
that because of the new OC that they won't be as productive.
And he wasn't as productive last year, but he's also hurt. And they ran the ball a hell of a lot more last year than the year before. I think this year they want to move more towards a more balanced offense.
I don't know how short.
The year before, he had over 1,066 yards receiving, 81 catches, 7 touchdowns.
I just think that the circumstances are different though. I mean, the Eagles controlled so many games last year that there's doubt to why Devontae's not going as high as he used to. I mean, if we expected the Eagles to be as good as they were last year, yeah, I mean, I can understand it, but I don't know. Maybe if you play it like the Eagles are going to be worse, then maybe it will be more beneficial towards Devontae's fantasy stats.
I'm grabbing all stock I can in him.
Yeah.
Or which we necessarily can't predict, but if something were to happen to AJ Brown, then Devontae Smith is a bona fide alpha one.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, again, back to circumstances for Devontae Smith, and I don't want to really have goats. The objective of the show for you, all that are listening, and please, if you are listening, subscribe to the Fantasy Goats, like this video. I don't necessarily want to have this player debate either. Just again, your thoughts on why they should be going higher, or why who your mid-round target is at. Now, Devontae Smith is your first choice for why you're targeting him. And yeah, back to circumstances. I think a lot of it has to do with the way the Eagles operated last season.
A lot.
And also don't forget that Jalen Hurts is not really a high volume passer. So like that kind of hurts Devontae Smith a little bit too.
We see him now since 2021 be that wide receiver too. He's got all the talent in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't drop a damn pass. I mean, he makes I've seen him go up for the ball, and if he's in space with the ball, it's lights out, home run.
He's not afraid to go down the middle either. He can run every freaking route and run them good.
He had a nasty drop against Washington last year, though. That was the reason why they didn't sweep them.
Yeah. I remember that. That was a bad drop.
That's fucking.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but it's just the timing, right?
You've got guys like Cortland Sutton that are one spot ahead of him, and you got someone like DK Metcalf that's one spot below him.
DK Metcalf could get a really good boost if Pittsburgh ends up getting Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I trust Kirk Cousins more at this stage of his career than I would Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers has been practicing with DK and the Steelers and stuff, so there's a chance he can get there. But if it's Kirk Cousins, then DK is going to be force-fed.
Wait, so we believe more in Kirk Cousins than Aaron Rodgers?
Yes, because Kirk Cousins can stay inside the structure of the offense better than Aaron can. Absolutely.
I mean, Kirk Cousins did play last year. I mean, it's not like it's a miss. Like Kirk Cousins was not good last year. He was.
Well, yeah, he's coming off an Achilles.
But he was also hurt last year. He had an oblique strain the whole year.
Yeah, that too.
But so was Aaron Rodgers. I don't know, man. I'm not as confident as you all are as Kirk Cousins being that much better than Aaron Rodgers.
Kirk Cousins is also 4 or 5 years younger than Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins is a locker room guy.
Yeah, for me, it's not necessarily that he's better. It's just that I think he's a better fit. Not just that he's better, because physically, of course, Aaron Rodgers is still better than Kirk Cousins physically. But, as far as a fit for Arthur Smith's offense, I would trust Kirk to run it more inside the structure of the offense than I would Aaron. I feel like Aaron will go AWOL a few times a game. Kirk Cousins is not going to go AWOL. He's going to take what's there. He's going to execute.
Aaron's already said that he wants to call his own play.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, what the?
I would agree with mid-round Mike regarding Kirk Cousins playing within what Arthur Smith wants to run versus Aaron Rodgers running his Green Bay West Coast version of his own offense. I mean, whatever the hell that is. Yeah, absolutely. But Aaron Rodgers is still more talented.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers' arm doesn't look to the naked eye, visibly. Anyone that knows any bit of football sees that he still has good arm. Kirk Cousins, I don't know if his arm was, not sure about his arms.
And one more thing before we move on.
Yeah, Robert.
Who'd you rather have?
Robert Goat
as a mentor? Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers?
Kirk Cousins by a mile.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's one thing. If you're a smart organization, you're going to think about that. Aaron Rodgers is going to mentor Will Howard.
Mm-hmm.
He'll try to curb stomp him.
Yeah, keep him at the bottom as much as he can. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right, Robert. Kirk doesn't have a huge ego like Aaron.
Let's get to another player.
All right. So do you want to do like each person gives a player or each person gives all of their players?
No, that sounds good.
All right. JX, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll give one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go with the lock of the lock for me. I kind of spoke on this previously during the draft season.
The lock.
Yeah, I'm going Travis Hunter, the Jacksonville Jaguars. He is the absolute lock. If you guys didn't know about certain education, there's degrees, right? There's bachelor's degrees, associates, and masters. Well, Liam Cohen has a master's degree in slotonomics. So every slot receiver that he has dealt with has been absolute top tier in fantasy and or college. I know our shepherd here. He's very versed in Wan'Dale Robinson. When
University of Kentucky.
Yeah, when Liam Cohen was his OC, he had 104 receptions, All-American, first team All-SEC. Oh, and then he went over to LA where Cooper Kupp, before he got his ankle injury, was first in points per game at 25 points per game with Liam Cohen. And then Liam Cohen had to get kicked back to Kentucky because we had to reset everything. But then he goes to the Buccaneers where Chris Godwin was the second wide receiver in fantasy points per game. So I'm looking at this now, and I said if Jalen Noel goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars, he's going to be the biggest sleeper, for fantasy football. That did not happen because what did we not see happening? The Jaguars trading up to get Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
He's going to be the slot guy. And I'm all in on Travis.
I have a rebuttal for that, right?
Sure.
So one, right, I am not a Trevor Lawrence fan. Mostly because he's in my division. I don't think he's that good. I think his numbers are average, right? But the one thing that Liam Cohen had at every single spot that you just talked about that he does not have in Jacksonville right now is a good O-line. He had a good O-line in Tampa Bay. He had a good O-line when he was in LA. He had a decent O-line in Kentucky. I'm not going to say it was an elite O-line. No, he did. No, in LA. In LA, he had a good O-line. He did. It wasn't an elite O-line, but it was a good O-line. It was capable. Exactly. They were top 15. So the Jacksonville Jaguars right now, I don't even think they have a left tackle. I don't believe in that O-line at all. And I think that a bad O-line plus Trevor Lawrence is a recipe for disaster. Now, I'm not saying that Travis Hunter still can't produce because we just saw it happen with Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors just shattered all types of records, even though he was on a team that won, 3 games? So I think it's possible, but I'm erring on the side of caution, especially at where Travis is being drafted.
Also to that, there was a coach's speak index today that told us that Travis Hunter on defenses is going to be used on third down and specialty. So
sparingly.
So he's
going to be mostly offense.
He's going to be sparingly on defense. They are 100% bought on him on offense. Now to this offensive line thing, the Rams did not have a good offensive line that year. This is the year after the Super Bowl.
Top 15.
No, I know they were not. They were not. They were one of the worst offensive lines of football. Matt Stafford got hurt. Cam Akers everybody got hurt. And Cooper Kupp got hurt. The best.
That's 2022.
Yeah, that was 2022.
Okay.
So the best way to battle a bad O-line is to throw it to the slot guy. I see Travis Hunter exploding in this offense. So if you think it's a bad O-line, I promise you they're going to find ways to get Travis Hunter the ball quickly as possible, and it'll be a natural fit for him to be the Chris Godwin, the Mike Evans, or Brian Thomas on the outside.
But I don't think he played any slot in college. He played outside, and then he would run like wide receiver screens and stuff like that in college. So I could see him doing that. But
he went all around in college. He played the slot. He played out flanker. He played everywhere because he was the best player on the team. He played everywhere. But yeah, man, Travis Hunter.
For where he's going right now in drafts, I mean, yeah, he could absolutely potentially smash that ADP. So I mean, I don't want to argue or discount the selection from JX Fantasy because I mean, like you're getting him in the mid rounds, starting off for what we're seeing right now is your wide receiver 3 could very well do. He could have a very, very good season if all of these things line up, or if all these things line. The only pushback that I would do or say aside from the offensive line is I don't know how sold I am on the damn quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see if the quarterback, along with the quarterback whisperer, prove us wrong. Then
Trevor Lawrence is Daniel Jones with a wig.
Well, I mean, like, I would say that's I mean, it's a funny analogy, but again, he's had like really one good season. He's had a shitty break so far also. So let's see.
Absolutely.
Let's see if this is in fact the right combination. The head coach, you brought in this uber talented unicorn. I don't think they traded up that high and made that move so he could just play 50% defense. No, I don't think that. For where he's going now. And here's more pushback, by the way. And again, it's not. It just popped into my mind. Let's say, hypothetically, that he doesn't have this whole route running thing locked down. You would think that he's too good or too talented not to get it figured out, but let's say he doesn't. And they are kind of like they have to reduce his offensive snaps. Then it's a blown pick. But the good news with that is it's not catastrophic. Again, based on where we're drafting him. 6th round, 7th round draft pick as a late wide receiver, low end wide receiver 2, top end wide receiver 3. I like the selection for where he's going right now. What's next? Who's next? Am I next?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be wrong, motherfucker.
Oh, I'm next. Yeah.
No, you already said it. Too late.
Go with Roma.
No, I am next. So, you're gonna go. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. See, go ahead.
You gonna say it for the 16th time?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah.
Maybe it's the same guy.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Maybe it's just AB's hearing the echo of Rome and like he's already thinking Rome. I'm going Rome.
It's not the same guy, but I do love Rome though. I do love Rome.
I am gonna go Rome Odunze. I'm not necessarily buying into this narrative that one of these guys is going to full-on play an Amon-Ra St. Brown. But let's just say Rome Odunze is the selected heir to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then that should just bode well for us. And where Rome Odunze is being drafted. But let's just say for a second.
Do you have the ADP?
I have everything right here. The ADP is fantastic.
Okay.
The ADP is wide receiver 38. I mean, that's that's basically a bench player right now.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my point. We all believe that the Bears are going to be much improved. We all think that this new head coach is going to be the quarterback whisperer for Caleb. Fine. Let's just say, and this is just like playing devil's advocate. Let's say DJ Moore winds up being the slot receiver for this team and Rome Odunze's out wide. Why are we so quick to just like write that off? Why is he a doomed player because he's not in the Amon-Ra St. Brown role? That part I'm not buying, but let's say he is the wide receiver that plays out of the slot, Rome Odunze. Then that should be takeoff from there. Takeoff. Here's the other thing. Again, based on where he's being drafted, based on where he actually was drafted last season, 9th overall, what the hell are we talking about here?
Mm-hmm.
So, look, I wasn't very high on this dude at all. Like a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago. All of a sudden, it's just starting to creep up on me. It really is. It's like he's calling to the shepherd. He's like, yo, what's wrong? You know,
And
I'm not getting enough love here. I'm not
Mhm.
getting enough love. And Roma Dunze, he's 100% correct. He was also, just to add for good measure, Goats, 14th overall in the NFL in red zone targets. Now,
Mhm.
okay,
And
he didn't catch a lot of those, obviously, because then we'd have 14 touchdowns. But
what that establishes is the connection with his quarterback.
Mm.
and the fact that that he is going to be targeting Rome Odunze. Look again, I don't want to necessarily. It sets up for us perfectly, as far as in my logic anyway. It sets up perfectly. Okay, so if he does get that coveted slot role, great. But why are we so quick to just like, because he may be playing outside?
I'm not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't think that'll matter. Ben Johnson
No.
is the kind of guy who will get everybody touches just for the hell of telling you, like, hey, I'm gonna get every single weapon on my offense touches. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't think that will matter
And how many times have I said I think he's going to end up being wide receiver one?
for that team. I think so too.
I mean, just for the get go, him and Caleb Williams were on the same flight, right? And then
Hmm.
they get drafted, and then they were throwing the ball to each other before even training camp, so they have a really good chemistry.
Hmm.
The fact that Chicago totally freaking really revamped their offensive line, Caleb Williams will get the ball to people.
Yeah.
And I love Roma Dunze. I love Roma Dunze since he got drafted.
Yeah.
I had him right up there with Neighbors and Marv coming out of college. I thought they were the big three. Like, I didn't think they were. It was like Harrison and Neighbors and everybody else. I thought he was right up there.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
to what you said about the 14% red zone targets. I mean, in college, he caught 76% of contested catches.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
I expect that to translate in year two just because of the chemistry with Caleb. And you know, he's going to be bigger, stronger. He's be more comfortable. Like
Hmm.
that's usually something that translates pretty well. When you know to catch the ball with players around you, it's just something that's truly a skill.
Hmm. And he destroyed my Colts when he played us. He tore up that secondary, and he's one of those guys where it's like, because of Caleb's mobility, if you don't keep eyes on Odunze for the entire time that Caleb is scrambling, he will break free. He's
Yeah.
one of
Yep.
those guys who's constantly moving, like he's always moving.
Hmm.
Now it's his second season, and normally we'd be saying, okay, you know what? You know, most receivers need 1 year, need their rookie season under their belts to, like, you know, get everything, you know, straightened out, or, you know, learn a system, so on and so forth. I mean, again, so because of this circumstance in Chicago, it is kind of like a year one. But again, you know, getting that NFL experience under his belt, playing with Caleb for a whole season. Let's bank on the talent coming out of Washington. And this guy's going way too late. It's screaming at us. So
Hmm.
Goats, I'm putting a high recommendation on Roma Dunze. I'm sure that the other three shepherds here
Hmm.
are in agreement, because for the most part we're going to agree with all of our picks, because we're
I think with the
I
draft
think
that
so.
Yumi and mid round Mike did, I
mid,
stacked him and Caleb Williams in 8th and 9th round.
mid
Hmm.
round.
Yeah,
You know?
that's a great stack.
Yeah. I was pretty stoked to get that. All
Yeah.
right.
But one thing that I'm gonna be very careful with this upcoming season is that, like,
Goddamn
I mean,
steal.
yeah, he's going so low, so it's not like it really matters. But I think that Chicago might start like a little bit slow. Like, I think it might take them a little bit of time to, like, incorporate the offense, so everybody gets it down pat, for the O line to gel together and get, like, you know, that cohesion. So maybe it might take like a couple of weeks for him to actually, like, you know, for everything to get to become steady. So, like, if I end up not drafting him the first couple of weeks, I'm gonna try and trade for him. If he puts up some low numbers, I'm gonna try and
Yeah.
trade for him.
That's excellent
Yeah.
advice.
Good call.
And let's not forget. I mean, what we want out of these players is to put up an above average average fantasy points. So where this guy's going right now is like single digits. If he puts up on an average of, let's say, 14, 15 PPR points as a wide receiver too, it's a home run, and that's not even the ceiling. I'm discounting that. So, and look, you're not going to hear me say this often. If we're wrong, then we know for next season. But this dude may not be it. Just like we know about a lot of these guys. Like we know what Khalil Shakir is. We know what Calvin Ridley is. Both in the same round as the draft that the commissioner is talking about. That he's not a commissioner in. But yes, we are in a not too early redraft. And yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, Khalil Shakir and Calvin Ridley in the same, the round above Rome. They went around earlier than Rome Odunze. It's a steal. It's a steal. Who's next? Give us another one. Give us someone.
I am next. And my pick, this might, surprise you guys a little bit. My mid-round draft steal is Chuba Hubbard.
No, that's
because
that's surprising.
Chuba Hubbard is going at the 411 as average ADP, and he is going as the running back 19. Last year, Chuba Hubbard finished as the running back 10. And last year, that offense started gelling towards the back end of the season, and Chuba went on a tear. He went on a tear. The guy that was in one of my leagues, he drafted Derrick Henry in the first. He drafted Saquon. He drafted them at the 1-2 turn. And then he drafted Chuba Hubbard in the 6th round. So he had a 3-headed running back monster that he rolled with all season. And I don't think that anything that the Panthers have done in the offseason is going to stop Chuba from handling the massive amount of touches that he was handling. No. They got Rico Dowdle to spell him a little bit. They drafted Etienne, but he's a rookie. So, I don't know how much of an impact he'll have right away. But I think that with the improvements that they've had in their offense, Bryce Young is more comfortable. The O-line started gelling, and now they have Tet on the outside. So that's going to pull some coverage away. I think Chuba is primed to smash running back 19. No way he's going to finish at running back 19.
It's disrespectful. It is. He proved last year. He showed signs the year before.
You know why he's not at the very least running back 18?
Why is that?
Come on, you know why. Think about it.
Because he's on the Panthers?
No.
Because he got hurt towards the end of last year?
Because Ashton Genty is in this mix.
Right, yeah.
Ashton Genty is going ahead of him.
Omarion Hampton is going ahead of him.
RJ in this draft that I'm looking at right now, so did RJ Harvey.
So my God.
So that's why you still got so that's why Chuba Hubbard is now getting pushed down a bit, along with some of the other reasons that you mentioned.
He is also
baked
boring.
Panthers.
What did you say, Jax?
He said he's boring.
No, seriously, he's boring. He
is.
That's why he's been pushed down.
Yeah, but that's also fine because the people who know, they know. Yeah. Boring ball. That's true. Yeah. Boring ball doesn't get pushed up draft board. I absolutely agree with that.
It's almost like we still need more convincing.
Right.
So I think what Rhino said fits. He's been consistently doing this now since CMC left.
Yeah.
Since CMC left, it was him and I'm missing one other guy that he had a platoon with once they made that trade.
Blackshear, yeah.
No, Miles Sanders.
It was Miles Sanders.
Yeah,
so it was him. It was him and Miles Sanders, and then Chuba took over. But we still need more convincing on Chuba.
Yeah,
now, not only is it the same story, now they brought in Rico Dowdle, so it's the same story combined with you've got rookies that are going ahead of them, but you still got the same Chuba, pretty much. Yeah. It's the same guy.
He just signed an extension too. They're 100% locked. 100% locked in on Chuba. However Etienne and Dowd will spell him is whatever it's going to be, but that's his backfield. And the guy who the running back and the head coach, what's his freaking name? The head coach for Carolina,
Canales.
Dave
Canales.
Canales. Yeah.
Usually that guy is a high percentage guy. We're talking about 78%, 80% type running back. So yeah, you're right. That'll be a great selection.
The only person that could have stopped Chuba from having a stranglehold in the offense was Jonathan Brooks, and unfortunately, it's so sad that he got hurt again. Because when he played those first like 2 weeks that he played, like he looked the part. Like he had juice. He was a decisive runner. He was making some really good cuts, and then unfortunately, he had the one non-contact cut that ended up ending his season. But once that happened, it's Chuba Hubbard to the moon, man.
Yeah.
I like him.
I like him too.
I like him.
Let me ask you before we go to the next player. Let me ask you guys a question here because it was brought up on X today, and I answered the question. So, Kenneth Walker is 24. RJ Harvey is 24, and the question was, who are you taking, right? And so I commented that I'm going to take Walker because he's a proven commodity.
I have a rule when it comes to guys who are supreme athletes, right? Supreme athletes who get lower body injuries, especially multiple lower body injuries, they're not going to come back better. Of course, you have your exceptions to the rule. You have the APs, the Alvin Kamaras, you have those kind of guys who come back and because those guys are monsters. Like they're not normal human beings. But like a guy like Kenneth Walker, like he's had so many lower body injuries and he's so small. That's the other thing too. So it's like I stayed away from Kenneth Walker for 2 years now, and I am so happy that I did. So I'm gonna keep at it.
Would you rather draft somebody on assumption or draft somebody would you? Yeah.
I would rather draft somebody with upside. Yeah.
Just for this particular situation.
Yes.
Just because you're saying we're assuming that RJ Harvey might be good. We're also assuming that Kenneth Walker is going to remain healthy.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that was the argument too.
Honestly, just for this specific scenario, I'm honestly just picking the O-line. I'm picking Denver's O-line over Seattle.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yep. Smart.
So my next one would be Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers is a good one.
Very underrated. 87 catches, 1,027 yards, receiving one drop. One drop.
Yeah. His hands are superb. The Patriots could use a wide receiver like that.
They had a receiver like that. And they
I know. Yeah.
I am so teeter-totter on Jacoby Myers.
And plus the quarterback upgrade with Geno Smith.
That too. And Geno already showed us that he could at least support multiple options. Not all of those options are going to be elite options weekly, but he can support multiple options.
Yeah.
I'm just so on they brought in Jack Bech for a reason.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to say. Then you might as well kiss Jack Bech goodbye if you like Jacoby Myers.
And I just don't believe that. Jacoby Myers is solid. Like he is, but I think he's just expendable. He is. Yeah.
I get that.
Like
he's also a veteran.
When we're drafting Jacoby Myers, and again, good football player, reliable, dependable, and the guy, I don't have question one bit any of those things. I mean, do we really expect Jacoby Myers to all of a sudden turn into, T. Higgins overnight?
Right.
Or better, maybe. Does he have like a Terry McLaurin type of season because Geno Smith is now? He now has a new quarterback. So you already got other dudes there that are going to be getting targets. See, if there was no Jack Bech, or if there was never a Bowers, then Jacoby Myers is a perfect candidate to outperform his ADP right now. I think
Jack Bech does ball out, which I think he will. That's just going to open up the game more for Jacoby Myers too.
I think my opinion that Jacoby Myers is probably just priced exactly where he should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
He's a good draft pick where he is.
Wow, he helped me win the league last year. So
Yeah, but see how
Nice.
how
Yeah.
good was he?
Well, you're gonna
He when
Yo.
this is the only thing I'm worried about, right?
You're gonna put,
The only thing I'm worried about.
You're gonna put 11 guys on your roster in the ring of honor, aren't you? I mean, yeah, of course he helped you.
But no, I'm just
say I really don't care. You asked for players, I give you a player.
no,
I
just
don't
like
care if you like it or not.
I'm sorry.
I like it.
I'm sorry, JX, go.
no, I'm just concerned
heart
because
attack.
how
You
how
acting
good
like
was
he's
he?
a shit that he's not worthy.
No. It's just
No.
I'm just concerned with how he was without Devontae, right? Because when Devontae wasn't there, that's when his targets became more available, his catches became more available, and now that Jack Best is going to be coming in there, I think it might just eat away at him a little bit.
It might, but he's still a proven commodity and he can play. I mean,
Oh yeah,
No.
87 receptions, 71, 67, 83, He's reliable.
Yeah, I mean those the when he put up those numbers though, like the offenses were pretty like barren. Like the offenses didn't really have, like many other like serious weapons
No,
for them
but
to get the ball through.
he's not a good receiver though.
Oh no! Of course, no. This has nothing to do with whether he's a good receiver or not. Like, because you can still be a good receiver but underperform in fantasy. Like we've seen it happen because of certain situations. Like he could be in a situation where the Raiders are winning a ton of games, but he's getting like 3 catches a game. Like that's very possible.
And
anyway,
again, we're not. There's no dispute again regarding the individual and
Right.
and his production. I think I can make the case right now that he actually overachieved last season.
Mm.
oh yeah, for sure.
He's good. He's a good player. Now, is he going to overachieve again where he's being drafted? That's the $1 million question.
Right.
I mean, if he's averaged about the same, 87, 71, 83. So how's that overachieving?
When you look at some of these advanced stats,
Oh God,
end zone looks 24.5% share, 24.5% target share.
Yeah. Oh, so for example, right?
Yeah.
It took Jacoby Myers like 4 years to score his first touchdown. It doesn't mean that he's a bad wide receiver. It just means that his circumstances in the situation that he was in kind of put him back. And then he went to the Raiders, where he was like the de facto number 1, if not the number 2 guy. So then he soaked up all those targets, and then that's how he was able to put up numbers. But it's definitely possible.
And would it shock me
Mm-hmm.
to see that he does still get this type of target share?
Mm-hmm.
Would it shock me if he still goes over 1,000 yards and gets
Right.
85 balls and winds up being like a wide receiver 25, 26? No, that's not going to surprise me. The guy's good.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. You want to throw in now the tight end one. They just drafted this dude that we're all high on. They just drafted this freaking generational running back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know.
Pencil him in for 300 touches.
How much could this sustain where it doesn't start? Well, let me put it this way: if it doesn't affect Jacoby Myers, then it has to affect somewhere else.
Right.
And I'll be so sad if it affects Jack Best.
Yeah, it's just going to affect somewhere else.
I'm like, God, take Jacoby Myers.
Okay.
But all right, JX, who you got next?
Yeah, I have next Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison out of the great USC University.
Really?
Jordan Addison silently was wide receiver 8 between week 10 to 18, and that's with having a disaster class in week 18. He had 1 point because Sam Darnold could not get him the ball. He had 2 touchdowns and could not get him the ball.
Oh yeah, he was wide open. Yeah.
Yes. He scored 1 point and he still finished wide receiver 8 between weeks 10 and 18.
Yeah.
So With the quarterback McCarthy coming in, and him, we talking about sticking to the script more, which I think McCarthy will. He's going to be spreading the ball around, and I'm not afraid of McCarthy being the guy. I think it's going to be another Sam Darnold season. I'm actually
Same
pretty high
here.
on. I'm pretty high on JJ McCarthy too. So if you want to do a
Hmm.
JJ McCarthy slash Addison half here, then we can do that. But I expect Jordan Addison to be better than he was last year, be more
Hmm.
consistent than he was last year. I think he could finish in the top 15 wide receivers.
Yeah, it's very possible. And those two are a great best ball stack,
Yes,
JJ
sir.
McCarthy and Addison. But yeah,
I'm
I
saying
wide receiver 31. I mean, that's not a bad wide receiver to gamble on. In a great
Hmm.
offense, great system, great play caller. They just upgraded their O line. They got Ryan Kelly and Will Fries
Hmm.
from us. So like they wanna bully people up front on the offense and defensive lines. Like you said, JJ McCarthy is gonna be like it's gonna be the Vikings are going to be Michigan plus this year. Great O line. They have two backs that they can hand the ball off to or throw a couple screens, a couple dump offs. They have a really good offensive system. Jordan Addison is going to get a lot of one-on-one coverage because they have so
Hmm.
many weapons on that team. So yeah, I
Hmm.
could I could definitely see Jordan Addison doing some damage.
You draft KLC players. Anybody who plays with KLC, you draft.
Yeah.
I will
Yep.
live and die by that.
Got
much
to.
like and much like Devontae Smith, let's say something were to happen to Justin Jefferson. My God,
Oh my
Oof.
goodness.
Jordan Addison becomes like a de facto
Oof.
Yeah.
default wide receiver one. If something would happen,
Mm-hmm.
and let me tell you something else. Jordan Addison and his role on this team reminds me a lot of the Devontae Smith role, kind
Hmm.
of, sort of,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the Eagles. Like only more production that it's coming out of Minnesota, the way they are pass happy. So yeah, no, I love Jordan Addison. I was not a huge fan of his up until what we were watching last year from him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, his contingent upside should something happen to Jefferson. I mean, it's a no brainer to me, especially again. I can't stress this enough, goats, for where he's going right now. Now, look, if you could get Jordan Addison in the sixth round,
Mm-hmm.
seventh round. I mean, let me take a look, and I believe I have Addison here. Sixth round. Sixth round for that, for those numbers. Now again, the numbers, the raw box score numbers, as JX pointed out, they're not that fantastic, but yeah, touchdowns are good. Almost 1,000 yards. We think that they're going to be throwing, if not at a greater volume, at least the same amount of volume.
Yep.
No, I'm all for it.
Sounds
And
about right.
as a matter of fact, that was one of mine. Do you have another one?
Oh,
God,
nice.
no.
You-
I want to get a running back in there also. I think we should get a running back. There
I
aren't
had a
that
feeling
many.
this would happen.
You want
don't
to
don't
you
don't pick me. I'm full of wide receiver.
you
Oh,
want to you want to go
I
mid
have
round?
yeah, I have another running back. Okay,
go
so
ahead.
I
Yeah, go
got
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
so my other running back right now that I love is David Montgomery. So
Hmm.
surprisingly enough, David Montgomery is being drafted around the 508, and he's being drafted as the running back 21. And that's mostly because everybody is drafting Jameer Gibbs in the first two rounds.
Hmm.
So they're all just fading David Montgomery and thinking for some weird reason that David Montgomery is not going to get touches. 2 years ago, when David Montgomery first joined the Lions, I called him having a good season in the offseason as well. And I called him having double digit touchdowns because I figured David Montgomery is one of the most elusive running backs in the NFL. And I don't think people give him enough credit for that because he's constantly just running people over because he's like 230 pounds. But David Montgomery is shifty. David Montgomery had like I think he had like the third highest forced missed tackle rate when his last year in college, and he came to the league, and he used to do that on the Bears all the time. Like he would make guys miss, juke them out of their shoes, and then he carried that all over to Detroit. Now I think people are looking at it as if Jameer Gibbs is going to get the lion's share of the carries, but I think it's going to be a much closer split than people actually think because Dan Campbell wants to keep those guys fresh. Dan wants to rotate between them, give them series, and then when one of them gets hot, then he feeds the hot hand, and then they ride the momentum based on how the game is going. And David Montgomery finished as the running back 17 last year, so that means he's currently being drafted with much lower than what he already finished as the season prior. So
Can
I
I
think
ask
he's
you?
still going to get goal line carries and stuff like that. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you a question, Mike?
What's up?
Why does the fantasy community keep falling for this?
Yeah.
I
Why do they
mean,
keep falling for this? Because it's the same thing that happens. This is 2 years in a row that this has happened,
mm-hmm,
right? Uh,
mm-hmm,
Everyone in the beginning of the season's upset because Montgomery's taking all the carries, and then he gets hurt, and then Gibbs goes crazy, and then everybody goes,
mm-hmm,
Gibbs is amazing! And then it happened last year again. Everyone's disappointed because Gibbs is not getting carries early because it's Montgomery, and then Montgomery gets hurt again, and then Gibbs is amazing. No, just
mm-hmm,
what we just the fantasy community is just we don't want to draft boring players when they're super productive.
mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
That's the reason why James Conner gets faded every year, because James Conner is also a boring player. But James Conner gets you double-digit touchdowns because anytime they get inside the 5, they're handing the ball to James Conner 3 times.
Well, okay, well that's true, but the other part to James Conner is he had injury history in the
Oh, of
past.
course, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Monty's been relatively healthy.
He's been healthy.
Up until a couple of games last season. But
Right.
yes, no, absolutely. So like in 2023, all those vacated carries and touches from Jamal Williams the season before and whoever else. DeAndre Swift.
Yeah,
Okay?
didn't Jamal Williams score like 14 touchdowns on the Lions?
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift departed, Jamal Williams departed. We're drafting David Montgomery exactly in the middle of the draft, in the mid round, and Jahmyr Gibbs was going ahead of him. Yeah, David Montgomery had a smash 2023. So the same thing again. JX just called it. Same thing happened again last season. David Montgomery again in the middle of the draft, having all those touchdowns. Now, okay, so that's 2025. It's not that he's old; he's only 27. He's going at the running back 23. He can probably outperform this a little bit.
For sure. He's another guy, just like Chuba. He just got an extension. They are all in on David Montgomery.
He can probably outperform this ADP, especially with some of these other dudes that are going ahead of him, like Alvin Kamara, who could very well fall off the cliff this season. Or
I think Alvin Kamara is going to get traded.
Oh, I'm talking just age.
Yeah, just in general. Yeah.
Age cliff or James Conner, who's going ahead of him. Again, there's a little bit more of an extensive injury history with James Conner, although pretty decent last season. Chuba, we like Chuba ahead of Monty, I would think. And like Joe Mixon. Mixon again. Mixon. We're drafting Mixon ahead of David Montgomery. They're basically the same guy almost. Practically the same guy.
Yeah. The only difference is Houston's O-line. Their situation is worse, but Joe Mixon has proven to us the last 2 years that it really doesn't matter.
No.
True. And they also, I mean, Joe Mixon's also more of a proven pass catching. Come on,
right?
But that's not to say that David Montgomery can't.
But Joe also excels at pass catching too. Like that was his thing coming out of Oklahoma. Like he was known more as a pass catcher than he was a pure running back. And then when he came to the league, he developed like his vision got better. He got more acclimated to the speed of the game. And then because he played with Joe Burrow, they essentially turned him into a pure running back in Cincinnati. But coming out of college, he was a pass catching running back.
Like Woody Marks.
Yeah,
Woody,
exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Woody Marks.
We got our Woody sighting for this evening. All right, well, why don't you give us one more before we go for this evening? We'll be back again this Thursday. We'll be back again this Friday. If you haven't already, please Subscribe to the Fantasy Goats YouTube channel, which you are watching right now. As a matter of fact, like the videos. We really appreciate you. Who's got one more? Anybody?
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow.
Joe Shiesty.
Joe Burrow going the 5th and 6th round in some draft.
Motherfucking Joe Shiesty.
I mean, that doesn't that seem fair for Joe?
No, I don't think so.
In the 5th round? Are you serious?
No,
He threw for almost 5,000 yards last year.
Okay, yes, but okay. So two things with that. One, Joe Burrow. If you look at his production, he has up and down seasons. 1 year he has a down season. 1 year he has an amazing season. 1 year he has a down season. 1 year he has an amazing season. Last year,
down years he had were injury years.
Yeah,
exactly. So he's due.
In 2022, 23, in 2021, 2022, 44, 75, 46, 11.
Yeah. So Joe Burrow is due.
Those are healthy years. You can't.
I am willing to fade the peak.
He only played 5 games.
I'm willing to fade the peak. Think about it, right? Look at all of the fantasy players in the past few years that have had career years, and then look at the following year, right? Because you have to realize the career years are literally their apexes. So Joe Burrow is not going to throw for 45 or 50 touchdowns next year. It's not going to happen.
With that crap-ass defense, he might have to.
I'm willing to bet you anything, Ron, that he does not throw 40+ touchdowns next year.
I'm with Ron on this one. I mean,
okay, that's fine.
Like, so we
draft players. That's Joe Shiesty.
We draft players off of situations, and
yes,
certain situations show us that, oh yeah, this is the reason why he was so good. So the reason why Joe Burrow was so good last year is because his defense was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
His defense ain't got no better. They are.
But
how many times have I said bought in? Like, they're bought in on Joe Burrow just leading them to victory.
Absolutely.
So at the very worst.
But how do we keep forgetting though? Yeah, how do we keep forgetting though that Joe Burrow has only played 2 full seasons in the NFL? Joe Burrow gets injured because he has no O-line every single year. So if he had an amazing season last year, I do not wish injury on anyone. I would never want a fantasy player or anybody at all to get injured. But I honestly think that there is a good chance that Joe Burrow misses some games this year.
What are his injuries?
There's a good chance any quarterback's going to miss some games.
Yeah, you can say that, but what are his injuries?
No, I know.
Soft tissue.
Yeah, it's mostly soft tissue.
There's one issue with the ACL tear, ACL tear, and the fluky thumb. Okay, so the first injury,
I don't think
he's not a runner.
Joe, but yeah, he's not a runner, but he is mobile, and that matters.
He is mobile, but he's not a runner. So I don't take the ACL into account. The thumb, everyone told me that Joe Burrow couldn't grip a football last year. He said, "Oh, he can't grip a football."
I don't know if it's the thumb or if it's this, the wrist.
Yeah, it's the ligament.
Yeah,
nerve
the ligament is thumb. Yeah.
But like I said, last year everyone said Joe Burrow he can't hold a football right, and this might be a lingering injury his whole career. And then he went out there to do 45 touchdowns. So
okay, so this will be our one of our face-offs for this season. You guys are on the Joe Burrow train, and I am completely fading him. So this will be an interesting thing to track this year.
Hold on a second. Not that I don't fully agree with Rhino and JX. For the sole reason that if this was like based on those numbers, he's a first-round pick based on those numbers.
Yeah, based on those numbers.
But because he's a quarterback and one that's not very mobile, if you pull the trigger on him in the 5th round, or if you could get him in the 6th, a little bit later, you could pull the trigger on that. Once those other mobile quarterbacks are off the board, that's it's a potential steal. There's a huge potential value there. Now, where I agree with you, Mike, is those are like historic level type deal. Like like they don't come around every season consistently. So if there is probably some regression that's expected. So so where did he throw? Did he throw what, 4,800? Let's say it comes down.
No, he threw for 5,000 yards.
So let's say
under 5,000, just under.
So let's say it comes down to 45.
45.
If he threw 50 touchdowns, let's say it comes down to 44. It's still gonna be first round numbers.
Still
That's why.
ridiculous.
I don't think he's gonna hit. I don't think he's gonna hit 40.
He would have to get to like Russell Wilson 9-game status for it to be a bust. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
He'll have to be somewhere like whatever like Brock Purdy's season was last year. You know what kind of like disparity there is? Like how much room in between that Joe Burrow could hit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just look at it. I just look at it like if the only thing that we can say is, oh, he might get injured. I cannot not go back.
No, I mean that's not the only argument. My main argument is the fact that like he's reached his apex. Like he had a peak season. So the chances of him repeating that.
Doesn't really go away.
No, I get that, but there's a reason why players don't repeat as the number one overall options in fantasy every year, because it's hard to keep that same production, that same pace year over year.
It usually is though
overall position, then he'd be going higher than the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah,
well, not necessarily because he's a quarterback; it's positional value.
Yeah, but also the reason is like. The reason why we don't expect them to repeat because maybe their team got better, or their running team got better, or they lost receiver,
right, or T. Higgins would have walked.
Yeah, but like he's gonna have T. Higgins didn't play 17 games last year. Jermaine Burton is going to be better than he was last year.
He should be.
Like I'm just saying, like the floor of their team has risen. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that Jermaine Burton
it seems like it
or not like that. I'm just saying the floor of the team has risen because T. Higgins is going to play hopefully 17 games. So why couldn't he on a let's say regression has instead of 50 touchdowns
and you also don't know
touchdowns.
and you also don't know if T. Higgins is going to play the entire year too. That's another guy who has also missed games every year.
If Joe Burrow had Josh Allen's legs, he'd be going in a higher round.
Absolutely.
Because he
round one.
But because he doesn't, he's going in the 5th round, 6th round, 5th round, 4th or 5th round. And that's like you're not going to get better production out of any other player in that round. More or less. You're just not.
And honestly, like I try not to play fantasy with my heart, but I drafted Joe Burrow the year after they went to the Super Bowl, and that's part of the reason why I'm so hurt. Because the year he went to the Super Bowl, they had a great year, and then next year, then he gets hurt. I'm like, what the hell?
If there's any bit of advice that I'd love to pass out, is to remove bias.
Yeah, you have to.
You gotta remove bias. The goat of goats, he knows that. All right,
yes,
guys.
sir.
All right. Well, we're gonna continue this. We're gonna continue this.
This was fun.
Last thing. Hold on. Hopefully, Joe. Now, mind you, he had all those touchdowns and all those yards. Hopefully, they'll be able to actually play in September this year. So he may even have more touchdowns and more yards. Just saying.
It's possible. Yeah, because I heard they said they're gonna start. They're gonna play their starters in the preseason for more than they usually do, and then try to see if that momentum carries over into the first few games of the season. So who knows? Maybe Joe starts off like Broncos Peyton Manning, and he throws 6 touchdowns week 1, and then he just goes on an absolute tear. But me, I am fading all apexes. All apexes. The same thing happened with Cooper Kupp after he won the Triple Crown. I faded him, and I was right. I'm fading Jamar Chase next year. I'm not saying that Jamar Chase isn't going to finish as a top 5 or top 10 wide receiver, but he's not going to finish number 1 again. That's why I'm fading him.
It's easy, though, because, again, it's you said it best. It's really, really difficult to have the same type of season to replicate that type of like historical numbers.
We're seeing it with Mahomes right now. Mahomes had a stretch for a couple of years where he was the de facto number 1. He was throwing 50 touchdowns, 40 touchdowns, 35, 38 touchdowns.
The difference is he had a wide receiver 1 then.
Yeah, of course. No, I get that. No, I definitely get that.
Like I
Yeah,
said, it's all like
I know.
it's all like context matters. Like in this
Yeah,
context,
hmm
Jamar Chase is still there.
of
Lee Higgins is
course,
still there. Like
of
Mahomes is
course.
going seventh, eighth, and ninth round right now.
The defense
This
still
one draft.
sucks. Like
Mhm.
if the defense was better, I could be like, oh yeah. If T Higgins walked, I'd be like, oh yeah. But it's the
It
exact
just
same.
fantasy as well as real life football just works in funny ways, man. It just works in funny ways because I thought there were some dudes that I thought that I would never want to fade, and then when I started look at some historical data and the possibilities of where they end up and stuff like that, I'm just and actually, dude, does anybody know what Joe Burrow's yardage is? Like his prop is for this year?
No,
Something stupid.
that's what you parlay, Paul.
Come on, I mean, like exactly.
4,200 yards. That's his over. That's his over under 4,200.
He should smash that.
He
He
should.
should-
I'm taking
calling
the under.
45. I'm going to call.
I'm taking the
45.
under. I'm taking the under.
If he had a shade or a tick under 49, 50, I'm going to go with 45. 44.5.
I'm going under.
4,450.
I think he's gonna finish with somewhere around 38 to 39.
All right,
Mhm.
guys. Stuff. We're gonna continue this. I mean,
Absolutely.
it can't be just 6 players that we should be targeting in our fantasy football drafts this season. There's a bunch more that we're gonna cover, and we're gonna cover them very soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will be back this Thursday with divisional preview. We just don't know the division yet, but don't you worry. Be here at 8:00. We'll preview it together.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys.
All right. Been real. This was fun.
Thanks, Goats.
Has it? Has
Have a
it
good-
really? I probably
Yes.
got beat the hell up over here.
You didn't get beat to hell, Ron. It was just difference of opinions.
I went like 5 rounds of Mike Tyson and bit part of my ear off at the same time.
Well, you know what? You got back up, Ron. That is all that matters. You got back up and you kept fighting.
I'm like Chumbawamba. I get knocked down, I get back up again.
You recovered well when it came to Kenny Skywalker and RJ Harvey, but like the person that was nominated before that, it was looking bad. You were on the ropes. When you're on the ropes, you recovered splendidly, as only a Rhino would do. Go Knicks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.